All right, so I'm live with Julia this week again, and I'm going to dive right into it, share my screen here, and let's take a look at what we can build quickly. So to start with, I'm going to get into Julia, and I believe a goal for today is to do command line tools, right? That's one of the ways I like to look at the world, and so I'm going to dive into more command line tools with Julia. And so we'll say Julia CLI here is one of the things I want to look at. And then also just the Julia documentation. Okay, so to start with, we have this CLI that I played around with before, and it looks like a good spot for me to look at this. So it says compare this snippet from CLI Julia. So what do we got? So we have kick the tires of Copilot. Next time I'll tell it to build functions. So the first thing, does anything work? So how do I run it? So I would run this. Whoops. I would go through here and I would just say the command line arguments. Let's see, help me, maybe help. Okay. Oh, I see. So it just shows you what's being passed in. And then this is a really simple interface, which is right here. So let's try this one next. Okay, that's good. Now, yeah, I think the next thing, is there a parser that people use, is kind of an interesting question. So I need to look into this. So Julia, the delimiter can be used as separate command line arguments intended from scripts for the arguments intended for Julia. Oh, I see. So this is for Julia, and then this is for the script. Command line switches. But what if, is there like a parser for Julia? So it's kind of an interesting, in Julia 1. I mean, I guess I could first start with this, which is that why don't I build something that can add two numbers together and just keep it simple to start with? So let's start with the first thing, which is touch CLI Julia add numbers. Let's start with that. And so I'm going to grab this to begin with. And I think I'm going to need something like that. So maybe I'll just grab the first part, grab numbers. And so build a function to print the command line arguments. We have that. But I want to add two numbers. So we'll say like build a function to add two numbers. All right. That looks pretty straightforward to me. So I'm going to add these two numbers together here. Function add numbers. And I would say for args and args, I mean, we can write this in a very sloppy way. We could say that function, or no, we need to make a list. Like would be the best way to do this. So it would be to say create Julia list array. There we go. So args, perfect. And then we would append these. We would say add two numbers together or something like that. We'd say add two numbers together. Something like that. And I'd say for arg and args, we would want to append. So it would say that push arg. Okay, so that appends it. And then at the end, we would want to call that function. So we would want to say prints ln, and then say like we would say results or the sum is equal to the two numbers, right? And then we would say something like exactly the sum is that. So this is a situation where the Copilot is actually helping quite a bit. So if I chmod this, and I say Julia add numbers, and I do this, didn't print though because I didn't give it anything. Now if I say 2 and 2, should have accepted that. That's what's weird is so Julia add numbers, print adding two numbers together, builds a function to not sure why this is not actually running. Let me run my other example. Julia parse, no. CLI Julia. So why does this work then? Why does CLI Julia work? And arguments are 2 and 2. Yeah, see, so that works. So what's the difference between, oh, I didn't call the function. That's why. That's the big difference. Duh. It's a function that's not called, of course. There you go, print args. So I can just go through here, add two numbers together. Woo. Type array has no field push. Yeah, so how do you put things into an array? Ask it, push the command line arguments into an array. Let's try that. No matching. So what I need to convert them to a string, or what do I need to do here? So let's close that one. What do they do here? They just say arg. So this says adding two numbers together, no matching method for string. So we need to find out what the type is of this. I'm assuming now I'm going to need to look at how to convert Julia string to int. Okay. Look at, you can consider parsing as float and then checking if it's an integer. Parse, let's try that. So this is why you don't want to build your own argument parser. It's just a bunch of garbage code to write. So let's try y, x. We can just say arg. No, let's just say like my arg, something like that. And we also don't push arg, my arg. And we would want to say arg, something like this. Oh, wow. Talk about the blind leading the blind here. That was, I have no clue what I was doing, but the code works. So it must mean I do know what I'm doing. So it says the sum is 4, which is incorrect. now the question is what is it doing? Oh, no, it is 4. Yeah, this is exactly right. It is 4. Now, I would like it if it wasn't a float 64. Instead, it was an int, but that's good enough. And then we can try it out with different examples. We can say like 200 and 700. There you go. The sum is 900. Now, why does it say 4 and 5? Oh, I see. I.e., pass in. Okay. I mean, uh, example. Do this. Yeah, I mean, this is kind of a crappy command line tool, to be honest, but I got something working. Sum is 900. Okay, well, we and I could say even at the bottom here, like, you know, prints. Um, even change this. The is like adding line. Let's see. That's a little better. Exactly. Go to Julia. Adding 200 and 700 gives 900. Great. Now, I guess if because it's converted, I think it can do floats now. So let's give it a go. What if I say 200.24 and 200 and we'll say dot 45. What does that do? Oh, so it looks like it can do decimal arithmetic as well, which sure, why not? So it's kind of a decent tool. So if I do status, I'll check this thing in. And all right, so I built my first Julia command line tool, adding Julia CLI tool. Now there has to be something better than this. I mean, I'm suspecting, and if I go to the README file, I can put what I did. We can say so it's CLI tools, right? And built an add tool called CLI Julia add numbers. So that was kind of fun. I feel like I did something useful. The other thing, and I'll just add all this stuff up again. Commit this. Git add readme. Git commit. So the next thing for me to figure out is Julia argument parser. Okay. Arg parse. What is this thing? Carlo Baldassi. Arg parse is a package for parsing tools. So you say Julia add arg parse, faster startup time. Well, this seems really interesting because using arg parse, the manual's here. Let's look at the manual. So I'm gonna maybe look into this. I guess it would be good for me to. It's like eating my vegetables. So let's try this out. Try out arg parse Julia. And if I go to this documentation, it says PKG arg parse using overview and simple example. There are two main methods. Hmm. Quick overview and simple example. An option with an argument. Maybe I already did this. Let's look here. Parse. Oh yeah, there we go. I did do this. So kick the tires with Copilot. Yeah, so I guess if I run this thing, say CLI Julia parse, that it can do help, and it can give me like so if I just say, for example, an option with an argument dash dash opt one, say hello. Oh, and then we would do the argument would be like 1, 2, 3. We go parse flags. I see. So I could copy this and try to build something else out. So I'll try to do the add numbers thing. So I'm going to say touch CLI add numbers parser.jl. And there we go. And now we can just copy this code first. I'm going to just chmod it to 6. And what I need to do is an option with an argument, a positional argument, an option without an argument, another option with an argument. So I'm going to get rid of args right here. So I'm just going to get option 1 and 2. And we're going to call this number number 1. And this will be number 2. Number 2. And the default would be 2. And argument type is int. I like this. There we go. So they're both, and this, well, let's make this one 3. Let's actually even make it simple. Let's make them the same. We'll call this the first number to add. Second add. That. And we can say something like this. We can do like, adding 2 numbers. Something like that. And then if I go back to my add numbers, I would take this code here and just throw it up here like that. Build a function to add 2 numbers. There. For eigenvalue, so we don't need this parsed args. For eigenvalue, so I need to read what that means. So the opts, how do we get the opts? Opt2 would be 4. So how do I get it out of there though? I guess I just print it out to start with and we just see what happens. So to start with, I'm going to do CLI add numbers, adding 2 numbers, 2 and 1. adding two numbers. Number 2 is equal to 2. So arg val, I see. So, I mean, we could just put the sum right here. We could just do this. We could just say add numbers. We could say add numbers, parsed args, number 1, parsed args, number, oh, really? Is that simple? And we'll just get rid of that. Get rid of that. And we could just do results. Results equals, just print adding gives, there we go. It's gonna work. So if I go through here and I just say dash number 1 would be 34 and number 2 would be 35. Oh, there you go. So I was able to write a command line tool. That's pretty fun. And I also was able to use argument parsing, which I like. So we'll say get status, get add CLI, perfect. Adding together. All right. Well, that is a good way to finish the day. Now that I can write like fairly sophisticated command line tools in Julia, I think the rest of what I'm going to be studying will definitely go a little easier. And I think I was at maybe constructors, and so that's what I'll cover next week is constructors. And interesting, you can also do metaprogramming, but sounds like a good place to stop.